What is up, beautiful people? This week we are talking about TMNT Volume 1 by Jason Aaron and a whole bunch of artists who I don't feel like going through all their names right now. We'll go through them one by one. If you can't see, I am rocking my TMNT t-shirt today. I am so excited to talk about this. Let's get into it. So this book collects TMNT Alpha number 1. That's the little like one-shot thing that they did prior to like a prelude to the entire run, as well as issues 1 through 6 of the run. And with this coming in at only $20 for the entire book, that's a lot of content for, what you're paying for, Also, just about every single issue in this book has a different artist, and they're all listed off in the front cover, not the front cover, in like the front opening page. So I'm just going to list those off now. So Jason Aaron wrote all of the issues involved. Chris Burnham did the issue for the Alpha one-shot as well as issue 4, which makes sense because they both follow Donatello. Joelle Jones did issue number 1, which has probably... I go back and forth on whether that has my favorite artwork or issue number 3. Raphael Albuquerque did the artwork for issue number 2. Cliff Chiang did the artwork for issue number 3, which that's when I go back and forth on between like whether it's my favorites like issue 3 and issue 1. Joelle Jones and Cliff Chiang are both so good. Then Derek Robertson did the art for issue number 5, and Juan Ferreira did the art for issue number 6. And then I believe for the art continuing after this run, or after like in a volume 2, it's continually done by Juan Ferreira, right? As well as a whole bunch of different colorists, and I'll go through and list off their names as it becomes relevant throughout the video. So this book is formatted a little bit weird because the first 4 issues take place around the exact same time. I want to say within the same like few days of each other, each following what the Turtles have gone up to after they all split apart to different parts of the world and pursue different things. They clearly ended things on bad terms, and up until where the run is at right now, which is at issue 10 at the time of the we were recording this video, that still hasn't really been fully told to us, the audience, on what exactly happened that separated them. At least I don't believe so. This is still in the same continuity as all the other IDW books that I've been reviewing repeatedly over the last few months on this channel. But to my knowledge, even towards like the end of the last run, this doesn't like acknowledge anything regarding that, and there was no event that took place in the last run that would have caused them to split up the way they did. Could be wrong. If I am, let me know in the comments, respectfully. Also spoiler free, because I'm not fully caught up on all the IDW stuff. But yeah, so it opens with Alpha number 1, the one I was talking about that shows Donatello, and it weirdly takes place like in the middle of issue 4 almost. So that's kind of placed in like a weird spot on the timeline, but it came out first, so it's put first in the book. After that is the Raphael issue that shows that he is like in prison and he enjoys being there because he gets to beat up on bad guys the entire time. What's not to love? And how he gets basically forced out of prison because he's framed for something else, right? Then issue number 2 follows Michelangelo. He's become like this movie star in Japan, right? He gets rescued by Raphael. In issue number 3, which might be my favorite issue, strictly by the art as well as the story, it follows Leonardo and how he fled to, I believe it was India, and how he's been like living with the turtles of the Ganges River, right, and has been trying to learn their ways. He's gone like incredibly meditative, right, very sort of similar to Splinter, right, and how he has to get rescued by Michelangelo and Raphael. And then after that is issue number 4, which is where we see Donatello's story and how he has kind of gone like off his rocker a little bit because he's been experimenting with magic, right, which is really dope, and how he got involved in this like illegal mutant underground fighting ring where they have to go get hunted by humans. Now he is the strongest one there, and he actively fights to prevent any of the weaker mutants from getting killed. And how at the end of that issue, he gets rescued by Raphael, Michelangelo, and Leonardo. So again, all of these are like building up towards each other. And then issues 5 and 6 are kind of called Return to New York, which is weird because that's the name of this entire volume, by the way, is Return to New York, which is odd to me because it's not that. IDW already did Return to New York, and I want to say, I'm just glancing over my bookshelf here, I want to say it was in volume 3 or volume 4 of the IDW like collection. Is like not hardcovers, trade paperback, excuse me. So this isn't Return to New York, but it is still also in a literal sense Return to New York. It's just weird that they named it that because we know what Return to New York is. It's where they go to Northampton and then Return to New York from there, and that's not what this is. But yeah, it's basically another Return to New York arc. If I had to pick a favorite issue out of the main 4 that are presented here for each turtle, it's probably Leonardo's. He's not even my favorite turtle. I just liked how his story was written a lot, as well as the artwork by Cliff Chiang is so freaking good. The weakest issues for me were definitely, at least in terms of art, the Donatello like issue 4 and the Alpha book, because I don't really like Chris Burnham's art style all that much. I think maybe it also has to do with the coloring, which if I check here, the coloring was done by, where are you? Brian Reber. Or Reber, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. Maybe it's the coloring along with the line work, or maybe it's just the coloring. I don't know. Either way, I just didn't really care for him. But his issues are definitely like some of the most well-written out of all the 4 turtles. If I had to give the weakest one, narratively speaking, it's probably Michelangelo's, which sucks because he's my favorite turtle. I just didn't really dig it. Like, it's in character, and he missed his family a lot, and it was kind of neat. But I just wasn't really digging it. I'll be honest. It was all right. The art was cool though. I just wasn't really digging the story. So what ends up happening, right, across these 4 issues is the Foot Clan has returned in a more nefarious way, which is interesting because Karai was leading the Foot Clan and was trying to lead them down a more noble path at the end of the IDW books, and now it seems that she's trying to hunt down and kill all of the turtles, and they're theorized, or at least the turtles theorized, that there's something even grander controlling her, because there's no reason why the Foot Clan should be trying to kill all of them, and that's why all 4 of their turtles have to come back together and go back to New York to figure out what happens, or what happened to Karai and the Foot Clan, right, that pushed them into this way. And then while they're there, we see that there was a character by the name of, it was Ron Hale, I believe. Excuse me, wow. Who is now the DA of New York City, who is now using the Foot Clan as like a private police to hunt down and borderline exterminate all of the mutants across New York City. And we see that he's working with Karai directly in the Foot Clan. He sort of plays like a grander, more like general kind of role in the Foot Clan in terms of puppeting this private Foot Clan police force. They've also infiltrated like the police department, right? We see Casey Jones in issue 5 is fighting like a whole group of them before he unfortunately gets shot by DA Hale, spoiler alert, which is very upsetting to me as a huge Casey Jones fan that he's in like 1 issue of this volume, but it's okay. It's called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, not Casey Jones, so it's all right. Casey Jones bias aside though, this is dope. I don't really vibe with the pacing of it. Like, I'm also collecting this monthly, right, just FYI. And as I was reading it monthly, it was fine. Like, I liked seeing the different perspectives of all the turtles. But reading this over the course of, like, 3 days, this is weird because it reads like an anthology, right? And then once you get to issue 5 and 6, you finally get, like, the taste of the story, right? And then that's where it stops. So I think the way that this is set up is really frustrating. I think they could have just done Alpha and then 1 through 4. Like, a lot of trade paperbacks usually collect around like 4 or 5 issues. Nowadays, that's becoming more and more common. I would have taken that rather than tacking on issues 5 and 6 onto this, right? Because now it's when the story finally starts to ramp up and build up on what the last 4 issues, 5 if you count the Alpha one-shot. It's finally like moving towards that story. And then it just kind of has to come to a screeching halt, which is kind of frustrating because now if you're reading this like through the trades like every 6 months, you're gonna have to wait till I think the next volume comes out in February of 2026, which is nuts. Like, that's really, really frustrating as a reader, I think. But also, like, I understand why they did this. This is standard for trade paperbacks. I just think they could have shortened it down to just Alpha and then the first 4 issues, keep it to 5 issues, and then just start collecting them from there in trade formats. But that's just me. This is a very non-traditional Turtles book as well. These are clearly like Turtles who are more like, I'd say closer to like their mid-20s if I had to guess. They're butting heads a lot, but in a way that goes so far beyond family bickering that we're used to. And that's kind of why a lot of people latch onto the Turtles, because the familial aspects of that. And it's kind of painful to read at certain points. There's a specific moments in issues 5 and 6 that are kind of really hard to read for me as someone who's grown up with the Turtles, right? And I also have 3 younger brothers. I relate to the Turtles a lot as a family-oriented person, as a brother. It's really, really hard to read those moments for me because they're no longer acting like a family. They are, but it's clearly a very dysfunctional family, but not in a way that's sort of comedic or brotherly. It seems like they just genuinely can't stand each other anymore. And that's very non-traditional for the Turtles, and that's fine. Like, non-traditional storytelling always has the ability to sort of innovate on what already exists. But if you're a more traditional Turtles fan like myself, this can be kind of hard to read. I definitely wouldn't recommend this if you haven't already read a lot of TMNT stuff, watched a lot of TMNT stuff, and you're really just looking for something more. Yeah, I would not consider this a great point to jump into. Also because there's about 150 issues that take place beforehand, and you don't need to read any of that, really. I want to say I was on like volume 3 or 4 of the IDW collection for TMNT before I started reading this, because it's not like they're like regularly referencing stuff, but major events here have happened. Like, Splinter is dead now, right? Donatello has messed around with magic. Casey's operating on his own now, and it's clear that April and him are fully separated from, are no longer in a relationship. They've separated. You know, there's a lot of stuff here that you kind of have to know going into it. And even when I was reading it monthly, it was kind of frustrating to kind of piece those things together. So I personally, and I'm not like a casual Turtle fan by any means, right? I've been in love with the Ninja Turtles since I was like 13 years old, right? I live and breathe the Ninja Turtles, clearly, right? But it's just very non-traditional in some ways that, while being innovative, could be very, very frustrating for a new fan. I'm a little conflicted on what to give this book because from the foundation concept of the story alone, as well as the art, I think this deserves like a 4.3 out of 5. but strictly because it's not really a traditional story or turtle story and isn't necessarily what I think a lot of Turtles fans are going to enjoy. There's definitely an audience for this. Like, I'm enjoying most of this, but those moments that I keep talking about are so glaring and so hard to get through that I think I believe that a lot of Turtles fans may not vibe with this. I think I'm gonna have to put this at an honest 3.5, maybe at the far end, 4 out of 5 on a good day. You know, I think somewhere within the 3.5 to 4 out of 5 stars range is pretty accurate. If you're like a diehard Turtles fan, I would definitely check this out. This is, again, very non-traditional, but if you're just trying to get into Ninja Turtles comics, I don't know if this is the best point to start. And I hate saying that because I don't like being negative on this channel, right? I've definitely, out of the books that I've, been going over these last couple months on this channel, there's been books that I've loved and books that I just didn't care for. And even then, I always try to find positivity and positive moments and things that I enjoy out of the books that I read. And this definitely has a lot of that. I just live and breathe the Ninja Turtles. Of course, I'm going to love this, but there's just a lot of glaring issues with this that I don't really know if I vibe with. That's all I have for this week, guys. Let me know what you want to see in the future. Go follow me on my socials. Again, it's either here or here. Probably here. I'm gonna say it's here this time. And if I'm wrong, I'll look like a fool and I'll know for sure for the next video. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, basically everywhere. Go check me out. Go shoot me a follow. I post different content on different apps. There's some overlap. But yeah, go check me out. Let me know what you want to see next time. And yeah, have a lovely day, guys. Thank you for watching.